Saturday, May 28th, 2022. T-shirt reveal before I get to driving. Yeah, the Reynolds Green Lantern. Given to me by the head of security at Irby, a deluxe little apartment complex in Staten Island that I lived at for just a little over 2 years. That charged me $8,000 to move out of a studio apartment that must have been about 400 square feet with no bathtub because of a few minor little things. It was insane. However, I got this t-shirt out of it. And I fed my Green Lantern fixation, whatever you want to call it, fanhood, fanboy, you know, who's my favorite superhero, my kid will ask. And I tell them, you know, it's changed over the years. How can you not relate to Spider-Man at some point in your life? The underdog on all fronts, who could be anyone under that mask, who has a curfew and acne and girlfriend problems. Listen to Stan Lee. He'll lay it down for you, channeling some deep truth. So yeah, at other times it's the Hulk, but specifically in those moments where Bruce Banner gains control of the Hulk. I like the Hulk when Bruce Banner is fronting. It's just so deep of channeling about life. And here I am in the car running on an errand. So again, it's not quite life casting, but you know, I'm taking a step in that direction, all in the interest towards, you know, letting you into my life. I think that YouTube is full of schlock, and there's a lot of time wasted on bombastic hyperbole, people who are just doing ridiculous things, and of course projection. So am I doing it by just sharing parts of my life? Yeah, sure. I'm guilty of exactly all the things that I accuse people of, and so is everybody else that accuses people of stuff. Look at what they're accusing people of. That's their deepest insecurity about themselves. Case in point, the narcissism support crowd on Instagram and YouTube and other medias. Honestly, the truth is, every one of them is a deep and secret narcissist. I keep pointing out, do little tricks. Well, first, just watch their face. I mean, you know, again, I project, I got a touch of it. These people who smile and know they're getting some sort of energy supply from their online activities, right? How could it not? But they go a step further with such devious tricks as turning their JPEGs and PNGs, their still images, into still image videos that loop and loop and loop and loop and drive up the view count. So it looks like lots of people are liking it when not really. They're just scrolling through, and because it ran one video play, it increments the counter. So it's just a dead giveaway that you're dealing with someone who feeds off of needs and is sort of even cheating to get their narcissistic supply off of their internet audience. Projection much? Yeah, sure, why not, right? I say I do this for myself, and more I'm connected to my audience. I'm getting to know them by name. More and more are popping up, coming out of the woodwork as I ask them to speak up on my live cast. So I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. So here I am going to the grocery store, live casting again. Time to share some poetry. There's a silly sort of symmetry in life that you will see adapting in the opposite of ways it ought to be. When the winds of war upon the weeds you wanna prize are lifted in the land where you return to legalize, in profoundly perfect timing, in the moment I must preen, my feathers for a perfect flight put tension in machine, tighten all the belts and make the engine purr with timing, for a ride that's svelte and free of fog. And now I'm rhyming. Right, see? So the fog lifts and the mind is clear, and I find myself doing the grocery shopping to ensure my child has a nutrient-rich, very rewarding, very positive feedback, lots of good neurotransmitter chemicals released in the brain sort of weekend with me, which once again will be cut short because I have the chance to have a 3-day holiday Memorial weekend, but they have to be back for the Memorial Weekend Day Parade. Yeah. I'll ask them how they feel about that, because the time in this land of mountains and adventure, and I keep saying the same things, but they're very important features right now. The trampoline, the zip car, the fire pit, the local go-karts, the camping, the river rides, kayaking, safe bike rides, all the stuff that is the features of this area is winding quickly to a close. And I have had the wonderful gift of, exercising force of will to show my child that there are many ways to live in this life, and the urban way of New York City is just one that they barely really even knew, because the urban life of New York City is Manhattan, let's face it, maybe Brooklyn, but Staten Island is like, all the downsides of New York City, living expense, traffic, difficult commutes, with none of the upsides of being right there where all the culture is. They have a zoo with the best venomous snake collection in the world. Yeah, that sounds about right. Venomous snakes, Staten Island. So it's got some culture. So we look for the bright points. The bright points are, I make sure we're in a quick, easy walk of a wonderful greenbelt park with lots of features, lots of good features, the kind of parks that, is an upside of New York City. They know how to do parks, let me tell you. And the parks connect. It's part of the greenbelt, so they try and keep these things continuous. So with hiking or whatever, you can go from one to the next to the next, and you could probably hike for hours and hours in the connecting parks and not see another human being, right, in the middle of Staten Island, because Staten Island is mostly forest and swamp. It's not really all that built up, and they did take advantage of that in the parks they carved out in the middle of the place where it is built up. So I'm on the edge of one of those. And that's nice. And I'll have central heating and air conditioning. I won't have to have those big window air conditioners that I've had for the past, 15 years, right? My whole experience in New York and slight bit of experience after New York now in the mountains of Pennsylvania have all been window air conditioning in these hot summer months. So that will be very welcome. And there are plenty of bright spots, and I will certainly embrace them and fuel and fan the fire, the flames, fuel and fan the fire and flames of all the good points, and try and put the kibosh on my negativity, because again, we are guilty of what we complain about, whatever we project, that's our deepest inner fear. And so I am terribly afraid of projecting negativity and being a negative person. A political animal, a Machiavellian, Sun Tzu, Nietzsche, the works, right? All that stuff. I read it all. I related to it. I've internalized it. I got it inside of me. It's a part of me. Everything you read and truly experience read. There's reading. I've always had a been mystified, been baffled by people who say they read stuff, and then I try to talk to them about it, and it's like they didn't read it. Friend growing up, one of my friends turned bully, who ostracized me from my friend group in going from, elementary school to middle school. Basically kicked me out of my lunch crowd in middle school. His name was Frank Sessa. He's passed now. And he passed by falling down a flight of stairs, apparently, and the complications following that. And he nicknamed me. He gave me a terrible nickname in high school, or in middle school, which stuck, which other people I considered and here's the anger, right? I talked about anger. This is a source of anger. People who I considered good friends lunged right onto that nickname and then used it every day against me and were like, oh, here comes blah, 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 blah. And I was blue at that time. I hadn't turned green yet. I was a blue, soft, spirit, and sensitive yin type. And, these green, mean green machines in middle school found that to be sport. And Frank Sessa who I tried to be in touch with over the years, in every attempt to find him, I couldn't find him. And on those rare occasions I did, attempts to reach out, fall flat on their face. I even went to his childhood home to see if I could get in touch through his family, and that didn't work out either. And years and years and years later, after his incident falling down the stairs, I get out of the blue contact from him pitching the idea of doing an online site, like I think it was called Ashley Madison, the Apple of Ashley Madison. And I'm like, Frank, do you know what you're even asking of me? First of all, I'm a married person, and I wouldn't do anything that was like that site. That's disgusting. Second of all, it's leaked. It's only famous because they're morally corrupt and poor at their IT hygiene. So no, and yuck, and how dare you reach out to me after all these years? I didn't even know he had this incident. So he was looking back over his life and realized the people who, had value, and he was apparently doing his final reach outs before he clocked out. I didn't know that. So I basically insult the guy. I don't throw it in his face how he ostracized, a bully from high school who didn't remember he was a bully. Did he not remember? Did he not know what he did to me? And so, it ends poorly. He reaches out over LinkedIn, because I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. And it ends poorly on LinkedIn, and I end up blocking him on LinkedIn, not even knowing what his situation is. I guess you ought to be sensitive to that, right? I was sensitive once. I would have been like, hey, Frank, why are you reaching out to me after all of these years? What's up? What's going on in your life? But I didn't. I basically said, your idea is a poor one. And, he's like, a couple of good old boys from, Lafayette Hill having made it. We can make that story. I'm like, Frank, I'm living in New York City. I'm working for big time marketing agencies. I'm not unknown in the industry. It's not like, Blockbuster success made it, like not, .com tycoon made it, but I made it. Frank, I'm out of Lafayette Hill. I'm in New York City. I'm a professional. And, he got really pissed off at me. And I'm like, you have no rights to get pissed off at me. The stuff I'm saying is just truth. And so he wouldn't give it up. He kept coming back at me, and I just blocked him. Then I learned out he passed. That's one of two. I'll tell you about Andy Tull on some other video. But oh my God, did that affect me once I heard the full story, and I'm like, was I part of that? Did I demoralize him after his accident? Well, first, who falls down the steps? That doesn't sound like the whole story. How'd you get those bruises? I fell down the steps. So, who knows what the whole story in these things are. No one's as healthy as they project, right? Frank wasn't, clearly. I'm not projecting health. healthy. I'm a deeply flawed person. And we do what we can. We develop a sort of resiliency. These are the reasons why the Incredible Hulk is a special sort of channeling to me, because he loses it. He gains his power by losing it. And there's this eternal internal struggle between a profoundly intelligent, cognitive, prefrontal cortex kind of dude and the beast, the Jekyll and Hyde. And, how wonderful would it be if Bruce Banner gained control of the Hulk? The Hulk doesn't want Bruce Banner to be in control, but it's good for the Hulk. It's good for the Hulk. It's good for the one who doesn't want Bruce as the ringmaster. We all have an internal circus, a 3-ring circus with lots of different acts. The Raging Green Machine is one of the acts. And the ringmaster is supposed to have the power to control where the spotlight goes. Who has the spotlight? Ringmaster. And there's a reason for that, because the ringmaster has better sense about who should be fronting to keep the audience entertained, to keep a working act going. And we all have that exact metaphor inside of us. It's hardly even a metaphor. That's exactly how it works. There was an MIT book written about artificial intelligence and internal agents that gets to the point fairly well. I have it somewhere, maybe in my book collection. I don't even know what it's actually called anymore, but it made it very clear that's how that works. And comic books I was, drawn to because it was one of the few places that put it in such wonderful, pure form. And to see these things over the years, to get in touch with one's feelings and to connect the dots, one sometimes must turn green, turn to the green, go through a green phase, adorn the clothing and the powers of green, abadi abadai, and then come to your senses and let Bruce Banner step forward again. Let Bruce Banner be in control. Let the green remain. You cannot go back. Once green, forever green. But you can know your internal blue. Reunify. Win with the yin. But Green Arrow, Green Lantern, a lot of channeling. And when green can't be green, like in the case of Batman, green is black. When green doesn't want to be black, because there's a lot of reasons to not be a nighttime creature or whatever, and you want to have armor, have your green powers and project, like, I'm dangerous, don't come near me. I'm hiding blue inside, but I don't want you to know. It's red armor. Sound familiar? Yeah, Iron Man, Red Tornado, a lot of reds out there. The Flash, a lot of red armors, and the armor comes in lots of sizes and shapes and attributes. Sometimes it's pure technology like Iron Man, and sometimes it's just to advertise I'm really fast. I might be thin and scrawny and svelte, but don't mess with me because I am like lightning. I'm fast and I'm red. I'm ripe and I'm dangerous, and I might make you bleed. Red has this very duality thing of passion and love and the beating heart and ripe fruit and injury and wounding and blood and danger. So red is the perfect fronting color and the perfect color for the armor for someone who doesn't want to look like they're just like coming off as a green, right? So if you're green by nature and you're comfortable with projecting who you are, your Green Lantern. And if you're blue, hiding the green, sometimes you wear green. That would be the Green Arrow. Oliver, is very, very blue inside. And more often than not, you adorn red armor. And every once in a while, you gotta just be black. So there's your color storytelling. I mean, there's Joseph Campbell, and there's the hero's journey, and there's myth building, and there's cinema, and all that stuff, all it's kind of part of all this. And so I thought I'd share that with you this morning. I'm going to be doing my grocery shopping. It's only 8:30. By probably 9 a.m., I'll be home with a house full of wonderful groceries. I'll get some nice big steaks, have a steak dinner tonight, and load up on the fruits and vegetables and the spinach and all the good stuff, flaxseed that I blend into the Vitamix drinks that you've seen me doing. So, we'll be scrubbing our insides, and we'll be giving ourselves natural sugar energy, and we'll be loading ourselves up with a protein so that we can heal and grow each night. Thanks for joining, and that'll all be done by like 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Completely new, turning a page, new leaf in my life. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.